Press record. Okay, let's give it just a few more minutes because people like to be notoriously late. Um, what's new? How's it going, Jeff?
Good, Marcus. How are you doing?
Good, good. I was just telling Elmer I'm on the last stage of a head cold that my kids pass on to me. They're little cesspools for that.
That's no good. Hey, I got a question for you. I'm curious about what you're doing with all these videos you're collecting.
Oh, the video testimonies.
Yeah.
So the plan was kind of revamping our website to be and our trial process because I think it's really important for that social proof for people as they're coming in to to ask street text for me um, and just the website in general. If you go to streettext.com, it doesn't really feel like, hey, well, what is this, right? So you just want it to be clear. um,
Oh,
yeah, that's kind of the lowest hanging fruit that I can see on that at the moment. I mean, sure, there's other things, with social and TikTok and Instagram and everything. Okay, I'm just gonna mute anybody that everybody good? Can you hear me? Thumbs up. Cool. Awesome. Okay. Let me just go into presentation mode here. And who do Kevin, I'm just gonna mute you there, buddy, just because I can hear your background. If that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. And again, feel free to unmute yourself as questions come. And because I think this is gonna be pretty informal today, but you know, there is no dumb question. So if I'm talking about something and you just feel like, hey, Marcus, stop there. Let's go a little bit deeper. Stop me right there. Maybe you just use the chat feature. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty easy going. So just go ahead and unmute yourself, and we'll go from there. Okay, so topic today: the lead generation formula. Learn the quadrant and become a lead generation machine overnight. Listen, the quadrant is quite simple, guys. It's going to come down to four pillars and principles that I'm about to go over. But if you really nail those, any Facebook, Instagram, and I'm sure really this applies to any top of funnel solution, this is how to unleash the floodgates. And, as I was saying on my title, go to sleep and wake up with leads in your account. Now, listen, every market's unique and different. And what you got to recognize here is the way Jeff is auctioning out an ad in Orange County versus maybe someone in Louisiana. Okay. Um, I'm just gonna go ahead and mute you guys just in the background. I should have had my settings set up to go automatic mute, but it is what it is now. I'm not gonna go for it. But go ahead and mute yourself as you come into here, guys, just so people don't hear your background noise. And so the key is if you can figure this one out, this is the principle that will allow you. Hold on here. Guys, I'm just going to stop for a second and figure out this.
Question about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
Oh, I'm sure you are. Okay, let's figure this out here. Okay, everybody just put their mute on as I really figure out the mute all button here. That's my bad. I'm sure, I don't know if that's all. I'll just do mute all here. Mute all, okay. Except for me. Perfect. Okay. Here we go. So, just a little background. There I am on the left-hand side. That's how I need to update that picture. And then Steve and John, the founders of the company in the middle, and then that's my beautiful family right there. As I was saying, they're the love of my life, but they love to carry on those little germs everywhere I go. So I'm just battling a cold. So forgive me if I'm kind of clearing my throat or my nose as I go through this. But you will get some amazing information along the way. We have ducks and chickens on our property. It's a half acre, and it's cool. Yeah, my wife has kind of made it into a homestead. Kind of we call it the Pioneer Village, and we have lots of community coming in there. Lots of kids. I mean, on any given day, I feel like I have 15 to 20 kids that are not even my own on that property. So, you're going to get the cold from once in a while. So just to give us some street cred, you know, we've been around since 2009 actually, and street text comes from the name. Well, street text is textable sign writers. So if you guys remember those textable sign writers back in the day? Those were anybody? Give me a little thumbs up on that. Textable sign writers, like text for more info on the sign. That was us. That's where street text comes from. And then in 2014, we got into launching ads on Facebook. And I'm telling you what, back then, it was so hard to get going. It took at least 30 minutes an ad and funnel to set up per client. Now we have the ability to launch ads within seconds. And not just ads, we can launch 5 ads in one push of a button at the same time. And you guys probably know a little bit about that split test. Any street text users? I'll go over that in a second. But that's the power. Is you guys can go ahead and become Facebook experts, and I'll show you some principles that allow you to be one. Or you can go hire an agency, or you can have this healthy hybrid in between. And the hybrid is just, listen, let everybody do the hard work for you, because all these ads that have been aggregated over a long period of time kind of show you all you got to do is click on the ones that are ranked with 10,000s and thousands. I mean, there's just thousands of these that have been tested to show you the average cost per lead. That's where you always begin. So, yeah, 125,000 ads launched, 5 million leads. So we got your back. But how do you open them up? So again, you don't need street text to do this, guys. But what I've summed it up into 4 simple steps for you, and then I'm going to go show you a bunch of examples. Ad creative, ad copy, split testing, and A/B testing. And some of you will, if you come in from any background, you might define split testing or A/B testing a little bit differently, and I'll go over what we define it as. Like everybody has their own definition. But ad creative or ad imagery and ad copy go hand in hand. What I will tell you is ad creative will be the image you see on that ad. And I get a lot of questions, especially in this very video-centric marketing time that we're in, is like, why are you guys using video? Well, video is so important, but it's better for the retargeting. I'll say it again. Video is awesome for retargeting and remarketing. So you always leverage the static image in the news feed of people scrolling endlessly and mindlessly for hours a day, right? This is a social dilemma. We're all a part of it now. We live in a time where people are on social more than ever. I guarantee you this, COVID enhanced that. But the idea is if someone's going to be scrolling for as long as they are, you got to throw something in front of them that immediately catches their attention. And so what's important about ad creative is not putting any stock photo in there. And this is where I think a lot of people fail, is they throw some like generic real estate stock photo inside of their ad, and they're not getting results. It's because it's not specific to that 15-mile radius. You got to remember on Facebook and Instagram, you are leveraging a 15-mile minimum radius. So with that being said, is that image something that's local and organic to that crowd? And if it's not, you're probably not getting results. I'll just be honest. So what I'll tell you is that's number 1. Number 2, ad copy. Now, ad copy would be, if someone were to buy your home, would you sell it? Find its value in the current market, or what's your home really worth? Enter your address to receive your home value, or learn our top tips for anyone thinking about selling their home. Simple, straightforward, short call to action. Get your free exclusive weekly list of homes in Fort Worth with a pool. You know what I mean? Those really easy call to actions. It's just a no-brainer. So if you combine the call to action effectively with, which is your ad copy, with a good image, you're going to get results, especially if you consider doing that within the split test context. So what's a split test concept? Well, it's like this. Every time you run an ad, you're testing a new audience. So why go and sit down at the blackjack table and play just one hand when you can play 3 to 5 at the same time? I want a blackjack, and so do you. In this case, you want to add performance that not just gives you quantity of leads, because everybody thinks it's about quantity. It's your quality. And the split test, especially on the seller side of lead generation, seller leads, is a no-brainer, because guess what? Every time you run that split test, you are essentially testing a new audience, and you have no idea where Facebook is going to randomly deploy that within that 15 miles. It may be landing, like, this is so important to understand, and you guys, some of you already know that, but, you know, let's just take, you know, because I'm looking, I can see you here, Jeff. Let's just take your example. Orange County is massive, right? But if I run an ad and I throw in a nice Orange County image, and I'm split testing that, what I'm looking for in the beginning, outside of just the quantity of leads, is where within Orange County these addresses are coming from. Because Orange County is massive, and you know LA traffic is crazy, okay? You know, that entire traffic zone. So what you're looking for is what's closest to home in the neighborhoods that I prefer, in the neighborhoods that I serve. And so that's the idea. Like, you might be willing to do a lot of selling any home in that 15 miles, but obviously there's a preference that if you look at the way the ads work early on, as you're split testing, you analyze the ad ID to see which particular ad within that split test is pulling closer to home. Because it's not always quantity, it could be quality. And especially in neighborhoods and places, as you guys know, where all of a sudden, if you get one address, it's in a place like, no, I don't know. I mean, Compton, let's just say. Maybe Compton's changed since since the movies times, but you know what I mean, right? So it's one of those things where, you know, Laguna Niguel versus a place where you just don't want to be, and there might be some relevancy happening early on, because what happens with Facebook as they're split testing these audiences, they'll find a certain profile and find more people within that profile, and usually it's in that same area. Okay. Save your questions, because I'm sure you're going to have some on this one. But that's going to be key again. So we'll recap this real quickly. So going back, it's ad creative. And I would say ad creative is 70% of that equation. 70%. So if you think about the 4 quadrants, the 4 principles, the 4 steps, I should say, make this image the most important. And this is where, you know, it's not always what you think. And I'll show you examples of this, because it's not like you have to go find this nice image, or just pull out your phone sometimes, right? I've seen images that are just even grainy. They're organic and native, and that they work. There doesn't have to be this perfectly tuned in image, and I'll show you some examples. You'll also want to get familiar with Canva as I show you some examples. Ad copy, split testing, and then A/B testing. Okay. So split is just for an audience, Debbie asked. Yeah, split would be, it's just the easiest way early on to, like, we basically say when you launch one ad, launch at least 2 more of the same ad, the same image, the same copy, the same audience. Because the only thing that you'll notice differently with obviously is the results. And so you have this 24 to 72 hour period where Facebook is developing an algorithm. It's developing a relevancy score. I don't know if you guys remember, back in the day, Facebook had a relevancy score from 1 to 10. They don't have that anymore. So really what you're measuring now is not just your cost per click, because cost per click tells you one thing, but it doesn't really tell you much, especially like what you really want to make sure you're measuring is your cost per lead, and that click to contact ratio being really high. Because who cares if you get 10 clicks and not 1 lead, right? Like, no one wants just brand exposure. This is all about conversion. This is all about lead generation. And so we're going to be really focused early on dissecting the ad performance, and I'll show you some examples of that. But dissecting that ad performance as early as, because you can often find predictability even within the first 24 hours, but a lot of people just, you know, they decide they'll wait 72 hours. You know, I have several clients that just, like, they know, hey, I'm gonna look 72 hours in, I'm gonna make my decision. Okay, and then A/B testing would just be the idea of different images within the copy. So for the example of the what's your home really worth, obviously you could run any one of these images could be an A/B test, because there's a satellite, there's a terrain, and there's a regular general map there, for example. And I'll show you any time you exchange either an ad copy and you test that differently, and or an image that's called split or A/B testing. I mean, even really, if I want to be literal about it, changing your audience would be a split A/B test as well. So A/B test is just testing, like just changing one thing. A split test is not changing anything because you have no control over who Facebook randomly throws that in that 15-mile range. That's the Housing Discriminatory Act. So it's just a fantastic way early on of figuring out which of these ads is going to be optimized for you to continue. And then I'll show you examples of once you have an ad set up. I've seen ads, seriously, it's 2022 right now. I've seen an ad that's been on since 2020 and never turned off because of the predictability behind it. So we'll go over some pictures. Linnea is a perfect example I often use because if I go into her account, it's just one split test after another, one A/B test after another. So she just crushes the seller side of street text because she's really mastered the combination of split testing and A/B testing, and something you want to consider too for you guys. Now, again, I'll tell you, the way Jeff launches an ad in Orange County and his starting ad spend versus the way Linnea might be two different ways. You know, Linnea's in Bonnie Lake. It's pretty good market there as well. And then you look at Orange County, and I think what's the average price point out there right now, Jeff, in that area?
950 to 1,000,001.
Yeah. So naturally, your ROI is going to be a lot higher, which automatically you adjust your starting spend to be more competitive in that market. And I think you do. What's your average starting cost per, or like when you go into launch a split test? What are you usually starting at?
$10 an ad.
Okay, cool. And I think I've seen you up that a little bit too at times.
Yeah, if an ad's really going well, then I'll raise my ad spend on it until I figure I've maxed out in terms of the return on the investment for the ad.
Cool. Yeah, and what I'll tell you based on what I've seen out there is you never want to, once you find something that's working, don't change it by more than 25% at a time. That's kind of the rule of thumb. Like, for example, if you go from 10 to 20, that could reset your entire ad. Instead, go to like 10 to 1250 and maybe try that for a day or two. That's kind of, or if you turn off an ad for more than 72 hours at a time, it could reset the entire performance. So there is I've heard people say, well, I was looking in the insider group and I was like, well, I like to just launch ads on the weekend. I'm like, well, that's fine, but you're losing out because if you keep on doing that and then you turn them off, unfortunately, you're having to set up a new ad and split test experience every single time, and you're kind of playing the game a little bit differently. Or if you find that ad, just stay predictable with it as long as you possibly can, and just build your systems around it. Right? I'll talk about those systems. We were on our mastermind yesterday, and Josh Shonley was talking about Smart Alto, and I was like, "There's another one. Like, there's always new systems coming out. Smart Alto is something everybody's got to check out because it's AI and personal touch, but like it's a really smart texting tool. I'm hearing really good results about. What Linnea is famous for is, again, it depends on where you're at and what you have access to, and obviously your budget and all that good stuff. But your systems are everything. I can show you the equation to generate as many leads as you want, but at the end of the day, what's your follow-up like? What's that process? Are you using the right integrations? HomeBot, for example, in the United States is a no-brainer, but then if you learn that you could actually go in there and customize that experience by getting a preferred lender, now you're actually talking. BombBomb obviously is a no-brainer, but if you learn that within HomeBot or within Street Text even, or any of your automations, whether you're using Follow-Up Boss, Line Desk, I don't care what you use, but if you're going to use video, make sure that video is not just one touch. Make sure you build a series within those automations that is built for the long term. So if I'm showing you, like, for example, in Linnea's, and we're going to be working with her to develop a course in the future, I think what makes her so successful, yes, EXP, is she's an EXP KV Core user, but what makes her so successful, I believe, is she first got into our program with a video marketing background. I think she was a lender when she first started, so that's kind of cool too. Then she did video marketing with Krista Mayshore. And then she got into our program and she just took it to a whole new level. We talk about people using video all the time. Jen Salter was one of the originals. But she took it to a whole new level. And what you think about as you're building these systems is far more than just selling. You're serving, you're educating. And you're not just doing that, you're using things like about how you are a part of that community. So I think when you start thinking about sellers, and number one, you got to shift your mindset to be about serving, not selling. Got to shift your mindset to, I got to build a world-class process that's all about education, and so you look to a community and you collaborate with that community, because you don't need to reinvent the wheel. If you try to figure this out yourself, you're going to be frustrated. You're going to be like, what the heck? Why are they not responding to me? And the chances are is because they're just sitting back observing you and wondering if you're actually genuine, or if you're just trying to sell them like everybody else. And so that's the key. What Linnea does so well, I think she's got 10 different videos in her first few months here, and then she's also teamed up with a preferred lender on HomeBot, and she's got the HomeBot, because in our system, for example, we have a direct integration within HomeBot, so she can just click on this button, add them into HomeBot, and now they're getting the HomeBot reports, but also there's videos of Linnea speaking about the HomeBot experience there. Right? So it's pretty powerful. But what I will tell you, because I said, I'm going to show you some examples, but here's an example, because your first impression is the most important one. So if someone's going to come in and let's just say submit their address and email, this is a really smart. So here's a strategy, and I'll write this in the chat feature for you guys, because if you might be using a generic one. This is the one I like. So here is what she's got here. So, hi Marcus, thanks for checking out my Facebook home valuation ad. I'm going to get to work putting together a list of recent sales in your area with homes similar to yours and give you a ballpark. So the name and the address is automatically being inputted on that example. Okay. And then the sandwich concept is the text copy followed by the video, which is his bomb, right? And I can, if you guys have any questions about how to do this is actually really easy. But then this is where you have the quick little video intro that just makes it genuine, authentic, and really sets up expectations. And then that bottom question underneath the video would say, I want to make sure to capture all the upgrades that you may have made to your house and might affect the value. Could you let me know if there's anything that you've done that I cannot see online? Okay. Now, that would be your perfect scenario, because I think that the key is to recognize Facebook has 11 marketing objectives. You may know them, you may not, or you may just rely on a system that does it for you, or something like us. But the truth is, you could go there and try to figure out yourself: is it traffic? Is it page posts? Is it reach? I had someone ask me the other day, is like, why I only spent $5 my reach with my video ads. Why am I not getting any leads? I'm like, well, number one, that's a whole different objective. That's your brand. You're not really getting leads that way, because that's not the objective there. If you're using a lead ad, that's a whole nother objective than if you're using a conversion ad. If these terms are just over your head, it just probably means that you don't care, right? You don't care. You just want to get leads. So you just got to, overall, you got to figure out where you're at and where you're trying to generate. But the obvious is, if you're trying to generate leads overnight, study the stats. And I'm going to show you something really quick that will be helpful. So if I share my screen, a lot of you who are already Street Text members understand this, but you need to go to where there's aggregated data. So for example, what we do here is we go out and we throw all these ads out in North America, and we test them. Canada, US wide, and I think, or international now too, in a couple places. But the idea is, if I know there's 5,311, a lot of you don't even do this because you forget, but if I know there's 5,311 this last month alone on this particular ad, producing an average of a $3 lead, I'm pretty confident that I'm going to get results. So this is how you try to figure out, well, where should I start? Now, what it is, it's called a lead ad. A lead ad is different. It captures name, phone number, and email up front. And you guys may know that, maybe you don't. But most of the time when you're using a lead ad, it's for a buyer call to action or a listing. Any questions on that? Maybe you guys are all just experts. Listings are usually any type of listing that you have is going to be the fastest way to leads. This is just true. Well, I'll give you an exception with that. Let's see if I have it up here. This one right here. This is an ad that Wendy used with just grabbing a magnet that she made, and she got 88-cent full leads with that. So it's a giveaway, right? So it's so smart if you want to have brand. The reason being is what she did with this ad, which is so intelligent, is this is a lead ad. So when they click on it, it automatically captures their name, phone number, and email, and then it redirects them because you have the opportunity to do a redirect URL to the address capture. So she's getting the entire information, name, phone number, email, and address. So you guys can think of it in your own market. Like, this is so intelligent. And she spent $300 on this ad, and I think she did 330 full leads. 330. And she, in her comments, has people like showing the magnet in their house, and she's done a bunch of deals from people because they're looking at the game, whether it's the Raiders or the Golden Knights, on their fridge, looking at Wendy, and boom, they're like, oh, Wendy, my realtor, because they're associating it with their sport fans, and she automatically created that association. This one right here, another lead ad. Again, a lead ad. Whenever I say lead ad on Facebook, it means automatic name, phone number, and email submission. Rent to own your dream home. 412 comments, 80 shares on this ad. I have never seen anything like this in the ad space, where an ad picks up that 80 shares. Like, that's organic shares. That's not her sharing. That's people sharing. So what you got to recognize about Facebook, guys, is not just you spending money with them. A lot of people dismiss the social interaction score. And if an ad starts performing well and it gets likes, like 341 likes on here, 412 comments, 80 shares, you don't understand how powerful that is, because what it's doing, it's organically pushing it out to these audiences and giving you way more leads than anything that Facebook could give you through that spend. So it's like 10xing your ad performance when it starts picking up. This is why a lot of people, where I see them fail, is they keep on turning ads on and off, split testing, A/B testing every few days, or they just say, I'm going to just do it for the weekend. Well, you're making a big mistake if you have an ad performance that is just building momentum. Okay, you guys know this right now. We have low inventory, interest rates are climbing. Everybody wants seller leads, but if you're smart, you understand sometimes the fastest way to sellers is, because you got to remember, you're top of funnel. Top of funnel is interruption-based marketing. So if someone sees a little, buyer ad that says see all available homes, first floor, main bedroom in Johnson County, you think you're just going for buyers, but half of these buyers are actual sellers. So those who has the most leads wins. Those who have the most leads win. And if you're going to be, as things are inevitably changing, I think it's becoming more competitive in the industry. You're having to be innovative. I think as a realtor, you're a marketer, you're a promoter, you're a networker, you're a social influencer. You're kind of wearing all the hats now. So think of it too as your buyer leads. I've seen, and there's many examples I can show you of people crushing it on this end, and then what they tell me is that half of these buyers are sellers, but people don't ask the right questions because they're going for the throat. They're not asking questions. They're going for the sell. And the truth is, if you ask the right questions and you learn, in the context of doing training and role play and community and scripts and strategies and all that good stuff, you'll find out most of these people have a home to sell, especially in this market today. If they're looking for something, they have that home to sell first. They're not going to just go buy something at this moment. I see a question out there. Steve, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was trying to put together an ad. I have a listing that it's a single story home, which is kind of attractive in our area, but it's not going to go on the market for a little while, but I'd like to generate some interest in it. And I can't really advertise it that it's I can't just go out and say it's coming soon or something like that. And I can only do it within a short period of time. They have us to our marketing, for the MLS, and that we can only do it like 2 days before it goes on the MLS. So
Okay.
I'm trying to look for a way to do some verbiage and come up with something which is basically getting buyers, but without saying that that's the house. You know what I'm saying? So that would be, see if they're looking for something that style
Like
or
that?
something like that.
I'll show you. How about something
Sure.
like this?
Like, let me see.
Like it's not even. It's not really.
Fremont. That's funny. Uh,
Where are you at?
well, I just sold a house in Fremont, but yeah, I'm on the peninsula, so see what I can't say new
Okay.
listing because I'm saying that it's on. So
All I'm saying is
um,
because I've seen.
I've got it.
I've
You're
seen.
saying more listings, yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying because you always gotta think outside the box. Like I say that because
Sure.
I look at this ad right here, and
Yeah.
I was actually in this in Jakey's account, and I noticed that this ad had spent $5,000, and actually she had two of the same ones on, same home, same image, same
Yeah.
verbiage, and I'm like, well, obviously it's not a new listing anymore, you know.
Yeah.
So I know this is her workaround, and now obviously you got to do whatever is right in your
Yeah.
market. And I'm not saying this is right, but I just know that she had two of these things going with $5,000 on each. I think she was spending like $20 a day on each of one of these ads.
Okay.
And this was like, now she does, she's got a lot of systems. I think she uses,
Okay.
what's the, Jeff, what's the CRM she uses?
She uses Chime.
Chime. Yeah. She's got
Okay.
Chime, and she's got Philippines in the Philippines, ISAs and Viet, all this stuff, right? So it's a lot of
Okay.
speed to lead type stuff, but she sets a lot of
Okay.
appointments with these type of ads. So yeah,
So
I would say if you're with street text, I'm assuming, Steve.
yeah, and I tried to change a picture and kind of do some of the things on one of the templates that you have.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't take the picture, wouldn't do it. So, but I could be an off question. I could send in a message to somebody or something, but it just would not do it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
here's my recommendation. A lot of people don't know
Yeah.
this, but so when
Mhm.
you look at all these templates, even this,
Yeah.
like if someone were to buy your home with your sell it ad, no one knows this, but if you click X on this, you can upload your own image instead of.
That's what that's what I tried to do. It just would not upload it. Yeah.
You might have to get a higher quality image if that's the case.
Okay.
That's the only thing I can think of if it's not uploading.
Hey,
Okay.
Steve, why don't you think about running a downsize ad? If
That,
it's a
that,
single story, I'm assuming it's smaller in square footage. So you can
yeah.
be generic, even though you've got a specific property in mind. Why
Yeah.
don't you just market for a downsize type ad? And
Yeah.
I mean, again, with a single story picture of a home, that's going to generate a lot of activity.
Because that's the ad I was trying to change. I was going to take the picture of the house and put it in there from the front of the house. And like I said, it just wouldn't, I couldn't get it to upload. And I was like trying to figure out what the issue was. But anyway, I'll work on it. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, no, and what I would tell you, there's a couple options to really get that dialed in. In your dashboard, I'm sure you're aware of this. There's the book a class, and I would say the ad help and performance review. It's Monday through Friday. If you jump
Okay.
on any one of those, they'll quickly go in there and help you get this set up.
Perfect.
Yeah, or there's the chat feature down here as well. And the only other thing I could think of would be getting the street text Think If It course here. But
All right.
I would say that this one would probably be the one that I think would be very, very helpful for you, this ad help and performance review, because they can help you set that up.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So the What's Your Home Really Worth is your seller lead generation solution. But I just found that within the funnels now, because you can upload, like this used to be the only option. This What's Your Home Really Worth used to be the only option for you to upload organic images, but now you can do that with any one of these. If someone were to buy your home, would you sell it? Or want to know your home's current value and how much equity you've gained? I think that's a big one right now because I mean, everybody knows that the value has increased tremendously. I would say just know with these map ads, you're no longer held to just a map. You can go and upload any one of your own organic images. And so it used to be this one was the one to do it out of. But let me just show you some examples. KV Core, EXP people, when you do the map and you put in your little price bubbles by doing a screenshot, that's a really smart way of kind of combining the map element. Because again, organic and native, that's why the map has worked so well for this day. And then you grab the little, I like this because it kind of in a way is manipulating the image to say, you know what, I'm actually really only focusing on the Bonnie Lake taps surrounding 3 to 5 mile radius. Even though I'm stuck with Facebook to that 15 miles, it's really showing this is the area I'm really looking for. So it's, if we know 70% of that equation is your image, then it's smart to consider using imagery that of the areas that you really prefer. That if you're trying to really get after that neighborhood. Here is an example of Donna Swansea. She's in Fort Worth, Texas. I like this because it's a Canva. Logan helped build this one with her. So this is the little Fort Worth sign. She tried to do that without. It seemed to produce better when you do it like this. So you've got the nice, typical Fort Worth style home out there. You've got the Fort Worth stockyards and this nice little monument here. So it's a really good example of using images that are local to that area that really, because the key is, guys, everybody's scrolling mindlessly in their newsfeed. You just want to stop that scroll long enough for them to go, I know that area, click, right, subconscious, and then, enter your address, receive your home value. That's the whole point. Like, you just want them to go from scroll to immediate click. And that's the whole point of the What's Your Home Really Worth funnel. I love the enter your address, receive your home value because it's not, the integrity is so strong on that ask. It's not, it's not like this click and then all of a sudden you're asking for the name, phone number, and email. That's why that one doesn't work as a lead ad. There's psychology behind that, if that makes sense. Rochelle, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a quick question on that. I did a collage for our area, and I'm wondering, the Fort Worth looks amazing. I'm close to Route 66 in Rancho Cucamonga. Do you think that would be or should I look for something in Rancho Cucamonga?
Good question. I mean, I think A/B test it.
Okay, that's a good idea. Okay.
So A/B testing could be as simple as a 2x2. Do like two like a split test with a couple where you go one ad image and you just do a couple, and then you do real quickly go upload another image on there and you split that and just let them compete long enough to see if there's one emerging that gets clicks early on. I kind of like some people have fun with this. Listen, I know your lives are super busy, but if you have fun and kind of think of it as a way of almost gambling within Facebook, then you're really just you launch as many as you can, as aggressively as you can, just to see which one of those picks up the fastest.
Right.
With the click profile, and most importantly, the click to contact profile, because what you're looking on early often is I can get let's say I get $1 cost per click. Most importantly with that is half of those clicks, because the funnel, what you'll see in these funnels, especially with the conversion pixels, is that if you study this, your click to contact ratio, 50% here. If you look at this one, I got too many tabs open. Hold on. Close this guy.
I've actually done that. I have so many. They're so skinny, I can't even read them.
Yeah, 60% here. So this is like 60% average click to contact. This one's 58%. So you want to make sure that at least half of those clicks early on are starting with the contact, which is the address. And if you study these, you can kind of get a good understanding of cost per lead on the seller ones is the address start. But then if you look at the email, it goes from 263 to 752. So what that really tells you is that about 1 to 2 to 1 to 3 of those addresses produce an email. Because that's the ticket, right? Right. A lead ad is different. With a lead ad, you'll automatically get the name, phone number, and email up front.
Right.
So that's the difference between running a seller ad with you guys, as you know, with the domain, versus running a lead ad, which uses the Facebook lead form.
Okay.
Got a couple questions there. Or Jeanette, you got a question there?
Yeah, I'm kind of new to street text. So I just wanted to ask you if you were going to create something like the one that you showed for Fort Worth, if you were going to create that in Canva, what size would you use?
Oh, good question. I would take that question to the street text community. I would assume it's
Okay.
not. I would assume it'd be a standard size. Like I don't. I'm not sure how that
Like
works.
maybe LinkedIn, because it looks like a LinkedIn square, sort of.
Yeah, let me give you some more examples of some of these images people are using. Maybe that will be helpful. I would ask into the group if anyone's familiar with using Canva. Maybe they can answer that question here.
Okay.
If you yeah, go ahead. If anyone has that answer for is it Jeanette?
It's
Jeanette?
Janet, but
Janet.
that's okay.
Yeah, Janet. Anybody have the answer for Janet as far as images and the sizing of those images as they create them? I would think the higher the quality, the better, obviously. So here's another one. This is really cool because this ad, July 3rd of 2020, and it's 2022 and it's still going. I was in Donna's account recently and I was like, holy crap, you haven't turned this ad off. Look at that, 102 comments, 23 shares. It's just like that's the key, guys. Once you jump into something that's working, if it continues to work, because with our program, we're always showing you the last 7 days versus the lifetime of that ad. As long as those numbers don't steer too far away from each other, that ad can run forever. And then it's just a matter of building systems. And your systems, as you know, is the key with the seller funnel is like you're probably not going to see your biggest fruit of the seller ad funnel. Typically, I don't think you see we talked about this yesterday, Jeff. Hey, was it like 4 to 6 months when you usually see the fruit of that one?
Yeah, exactly. It's rare that you see much development within the first 4 months, but if they're into your system and you're dripping them pretty consistently, start to see some pretty solid results between months 4 to 6.
Yeah. And of course, it depends on your systems and your process. And this is where I would say, if you are part of the Street Text community, you need to be at the masterminds every Wednesday, because there is always something brand new that we find out. Like Smart Alto was yesterday. It was a huge topic and conversation. But if you don't come to those things, you're just guessing, and your follow-up usually is going to suck. I'm just going to be honest, because you're either have not enough touches, or you have way too many and they're way too salesy. And you're not learning that it's about education, it's about value, it's about contribution, and it's aligning all your processes and systems to be making sure you're branded, they're getting to know you along the way, and that's where you'll see the biggest fruit of this. You don't want to just set it and forget it, right? Or coming with this idea of my AI, my text message assistant Julie, and or my drip email is going to do its thing. Like sometimes you get lucky. Anybody can get lucky, but you need to build these things so you can get 3 to 5% conversion rates, or you're just going to be stuck within that 1% of luckiness. And most people that do that end up quitting because they wanted to see results. Their expectations were off. They wanted to see results right away, but it's because they didn't create a follow-up process that was authentic. And then they're frustrated. And so that's my biggest advice to you is whatever lead generation you do, the floodgates can open quite fast, but usually that's the first problem that's solved. But then it creates a whole new problem. And I think it's like this onion where you figure out the ad performance layer, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shoot, there's about 10 more layers down beneath this onion layer. And I got to figure out automations. I got to figure out integrations. I got to figure out my scripts and strategies. I'm going to do some role play and da-da-da-da. And before you know it, you're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot to this. But that's where you got to develop patience, and you got to go look to people that have already done this and built their systems in such a way where they've seen great success. And then, what Jeff and I talk about all the time, and he uses R&D, rip off and duplicate. Right? Rip off and duplicate what's working. And maybe one day you work, let's just say we're talking about seller leads. Maybe you're like, okay, I'm going to get HomeBot. I'm in the States, I'm going to get HomeBot. That's a no-brainer. And then you watch the webinar that we did recently. You're like, I am going to go get a preferred lender because I know that'll open up the video integration. And then you see BombBomb, and you're like, oh man, I can't just do 10 videos like Linnea. Well, how about you start with one? How about you just start with something as simple as, hey, it's Marcus from Remax Kelowna. Thank you so much for clicking on my Facebook ad. I will be in touch with you shortly. Right? Something super simple. It doesn't have to be, you know, you don't, it's like paralysis by analysis type of thing. Start somewhere. Any questions? New to Street Text. I'm part of the Krista Mayshore Master Group, interested in Street Text. How can I participate in the mastermind? Awesome. Yes, I will help you out with that. Just DM me and we'll get you rocking. So some other examples. Like, see all available homes on acreage in Central Coast. Like, this is the funniest of pictures, but Kim is kind of well known out there for being, you know, like she loves her horse George, and that's kind of her niche is the homes on acreage. And it's I think, you know, it's pretty grainy, you know, nothing special about it, but it just shows the power of organic and native images, especially as you're appealing to that certain type of person. So, yeah, that's my biggest takeaway for you guys. Let me go back into here. So again, it comes down to ad creative, ad copy, split testing, and A/B testing. And just, you need to really understand that this will, like, it's not a matter of if, it's, or I should say, it's not a matter of when or if it's going to happen. Like, if, it's not a matter of if, it's when. That's the word I'm looking for. Sorry, I got my head cold. I'm all over the place right now. So it will happen. But a lot of you guys need to develop a little bit more patience. These are you got to go with the ads that are working right now in today's market. You might be just trying too hard to beat against the bush, when the reality is, as the market is shifting and changing, you might have to change something up. We were just talking about this, looking to downsize your home but not your lifestyle is very relevant right now. Why? Because baby boomers right now are doing that. That's the market. They're downsizing their home but not their lifestyle, and you can upload your own image, and this is why this is working so well. Right? Our market is changing, guys. The interest rates are climbing, the inventory is low, it's going to be shifting to a buyer's market. You gotta be always looking future state with lead generation. It's a database builder, it's a top of funnel. It's, you know, you may be wanting, it is not necessarily your right now business. Doesn't mean you can't get right now business, but you gotta always think future with social media. And if you always think future and you always try to be an early adopter, and you surround yourself around people that are using the cutting edge technologies, like there's so many ways to do this. I guess it just all depends on, you know, like we went over Josh Shonley. He's producing a course that's going to be really interesting. You know, he's kind of like a healthy hybrid between Jennifer Salter, who's well known in street text as being like, she was a third grade teacher, got into real estate, and she uses video really highly, especially the BombBomb. And then there's a Janky Patel style of agent that is like, you know, the dream, where you have half a dozen assistants working for you and everything's speed to lead and smart systems and, you know, budgets that are just insane, 5,000 plus a month, or just stuff that, you know, but you can't just get there. It's inspiring, but then you got to just figure out where you're at, and sometimes you're going to have to wear multiple hats until you can get to that next hat. So at the moment, you just got to figure out what are the systems that are going to help you scale and leverage yourself. And I would say for most of you, video is a no-brainer. It's, you know, something like BombBomb is $1 a day. So make that a priority. HomeBot, if you're in the United States, no-brainer. It's not because that report's very accurate. It's because the open rates are out of this world. And it's a conversation starter. Even if that person comes back to you and says, my home's not worth this much, perfect. It opened up the door. Right? So, and then you got the retargeting element, which is going to be massive. So you've got video in your automations, video in your HomeBot, video retargeting. That's how you now develop your brand recognition in the area and separate yourselves from your community, from your competition. Questions? I know I went over a lot, but this is now just open this up to Q&A. Go ahead and unmute yourself. And
Can I ask you something?
yeah.
Well, you just mentioned the retargeting. Is there a way to create a CSV file to create a Facebook audience with your leads from street text?
Yeah, it's actually one of our new features coming out that's going to be released any day now. So just keep your eyes on the Street Text Insider community. I know Steve has been working tirelessly day in and day out to get that retargeting feature open.
Great, thank you.
So that is coming.
And you can create a CSV file right now, not for Facebook, obviously, but there's an export function in Street Text where you can export all your leads into a CSV file.
Oh, how can I learn how to do that?
I'll show you. So if you go to contacts, there is the button right there, export to Excel.
Where do you see that?
It's on the, it's right here.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? And so let me just go back to this presentation. Is there anybody on here that doesn't have, like, here's this, I'll put this link in here for you guys. If you have never done street text, or maybe you've done it in the past and you want to try it again, I'll just throw it in the chat feature for anybody that is here that doesn't have it. It's free to do as a trial. Now, what I would tell you is don't go just generate any sort of ads. I'm sure many of you remember the experience in the beginning. It's like, I would say think to what you really want to accomplish, and just start building the systems and processes, and not necessarily go straight for the lead gen. Because if you do the lead gen part of this, you could be just wasting money on Facebook. Where if you start thinking about that experience and build the process behind it, your leads are going to come pretty fast here. But you want your systems in place so when they do come in there, that's the most important piece. As many of you have recognized, if you've been around us street texters for a long time. Cool. Did you guys get
this? Yes. Hi. Will this recording be available to watch again?
Sure will. Yeah, we'll put it up on YouTube for you.
Okay. Later today?
I hope so. Why not? I'll put a little a ticket on it to make sure that happens.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Jeff, did you have something you wanted to say? Oh, you got to unmute yourself there, buddy.
I just wanted to circle around and touch on what you just mentioned about having systems in place, and whether you're using the street text automations that are already there, you'll want to go in there and tweak them and customize them and drop in videos. Or if you're using your own CRM, again, it's important to have your systems in place, especially if you're in a trial. I mean, from personal experience, when I first started out, I just figured, yeah, I'll sign up, I'll run a couple of ads, and boom, I was inundated with leads and didn't know what the hell to do with them, because I had no systems in place and I had no way to touch, had no way to follow up. So I think it's mission critical to make sure that that you've got your automations, you've got your action plans in place, even before you hit. You're probably not going to want to hear this, Marcus, but even before you hit I want to try a trial, is to get those things set up before you start running the ads.
I agree. I mean, I've kind of been an advocate of saying, this trial experience sometimes needs to be one where you're more thinking about the future, the vision of what that looks like. Like, I think anybody that's been around street text knows that it works, but it works if you work it. It's never going to be a lead generation issue. Now, granted, every market, again, as we talk about, if I go generate stellar leads in Orange County versus wherever you are, I'm not going to have the same cost per lead. It's going to be naturally higher. It's $1 million plus market, or Fremont, or any of those higher end markets. So you can't compare yourself to anybody else. But the split testing and A/B concept will get you leads. It's just a matter of you have to tinker with that ad spend to figure out what is going to be your market, because the ROI that Jeff gets for, what, 20,000 plus commission or whatever that is, versus yours is where you're naturally going to spend more for that lead. Makes sense. Steve.
Real quickly, how do I take the leads coming in and get them to go into my CRM?
What's your CRM?
Well, I'm with Compass and they own Contactually. So,
So I would say it would be, I'll show you here. When you go to your settings and then you go to integrations,
okay.
you're going to have a couple options. You're going to have email parsing, so you can see if Contactually or Compass offers an email parsing, because you can do something like that, or it's a Zapier connection.
Zapier connection, okay.
So it's one or the other. Again, this is where if you guys any of you are with Street Text, just use either the chat feature on the bottom and or support@streettext.com.
Okay.
If you have a specific, because usually there's instructions, and also the little question mark, you can usually search for something quite fast to see, even with Zapier, how to put it all together. But I'm pretty sure that would be the way to go with Contactually, either Zapier or email parsing.
Yeah, Steve, you're going to have to zap them. Being with Compass, I can tell you from personal experience, you can't email parse them directly in, so you got to use Zapier.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Any other questions, guys, before we let you
I
go?
have a quick question.
Yeah.
You said something a minute ago about another Street Text group, and it was something when you were talking about the CRV. I've got Insider and Mastermind. What's the other one?
Oh no, you're right. The CSV file was different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, you're right. In the Street Text Insider community is basically
Okay.
the key on there. There is a KMC group that's specific to Street Text and KMC, and that's just for customization.
Oh, okay. I've got that one too. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm not missing anything.
No, you're not missing anything.
Okay.
I would say, like, for everybody here, the one meeting a week, outside when we do webinars and special occasions. Okay, number one, ad performance and review. Anytime you need help, jump on that, because it's Monday through Friday. Anytime your ad's like, I need someone to look at my ad. Either I need to set up a new ad, or I want it reviewed. Go to that one. Mastermind, if you
Oh,
can't.
that's big. I always go to that.
Yeah, if you can make it live, there's nothing like it. Obviously, if you can't make it and watch the recording, that meeting alone, I think at least a dozen gold nuggets in each mastermind, at least, if not more. Sometimes we're all like taking notes, but I gotta go watch it again. Outside of that, I would say the custom ads workshop with Logan's pretty cool if you're looking for something custom outside the box that you can't find as a template. And the automations workshop with Ira, if you're really wanting to dial in your email and or SMS feature to be more like with your personality. Like, he'll show you examples. Make sure that every one of you also has an email signature with your automations, because even if you don't have video, at least they get to see a nice email signature, preferably as a nice picture of you with your social information. And I see some people do it really well where they have their Calendly booking in there too, so people can directly book into their calendar.
I wanted to ask Jeff what issues he had regarding email parsing.
I'm sorry, what's the question again?
You mentioned after about doing the transfers of leads through Zapier versus email parsing. What issues did you have for not going with email parsing?
Oh, I don't use the Compass CRM. I use Follow Up Boss as my CRM, and the email parsing from Street Text to Follow Up Boss is seamless. So I have absolutely no problems with email parsing for my particular CRM, but your mileage may differ depending on what your CRM is.
Okay, all right, thank you.
What's your CRM, Isabel?
Oh, I use KV Core and I did the email parsing, but I didn't have any issues. I just wanted to find out your experience.
Yeah, no, if you have the ability to email parse, that's obviously the cheapest and the best way to go.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
By the way, for you KV Core people, look in the insider community. I saw Jennifer Salter post something that's pretty badass. It's about like the home value presentation. So check that out. That's going to be pretty cool of what that's going to be able to do for you. Anyways,
Where is that?
It's in the insider community. Just type in Jennifer Salter. She posted something and literally it went viral. Everybody in KV course said they wanted it. So she'll email you, but she'll go, I'm sure she'll both update it in her course, and I'm sure we'll be seeing something about it soon. But I think it's going to be a tremendous way of showing that home value and getting an appointment booked. And it's basically your home value with the listing presentation inside of it.
Hi, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Hi, Marcus. Great information today. I really enjoy all the masterminds and everything. I'm really very new to street text.
Yeah.
My question is, I'm in the process of putting up the follow-ups, and that's just the one that's taking the longest, is just
Right.
follow-up from there. And but just let me know that, I'm sorry, I have contractors at my house.
No worries.
Just you know, it's like just tell me that I'm on the right page, because it's just taking me longer because I still have my regular business, and then putting that in and just going back and forth. What's your average time frame? But I guess it varies with person, like to be up and running with the follow-up systems.
Oh man, yeah.
I guess
Well,
it's depending on how involved you get, right?
number one, like I'm looking at your account right now, and I'm noticing you're running the get our 12 tips to do before you sell list.
Just one, yeah. And I have a lot of leads.
And that in my mind is not like, it's a great database builder, is not necessarily the easiest conversation to have. Like
Yeah.
you'll be retargeting them and doing all that great stuff with them, but the home value funnel will be a lot better if you're looking for sellers for the long term, because in this case you're giving them a PDF essentially of 12 seller tips, but you got to be really clever with how you create the conversation around that.
Yeah.
Where when someone comes in asking for their home value or how much equity they gain, it's pretty obvious, and you're going to throw them into HomeBot, right? So
Yeah.
the key with this one is you could do that. You just have to be more creative and ask around with how you take that name, phone number, and email, and then pull them into HomeBot and get their address as well.
Yeah, and there's so many moving parts that I just don't want to. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist on that, so I got to get over it. And it's like, okay, I got to get this done first, but I can't do that until I do this. And so my whole brain gets a little overloaded. But I get in my own way. But we're working through that. So yeah, figure that
Yeah,
out.
I mean, at the end of the day, that'd probably not be my favorite ad. And I think Jeff, you may talk about that too. It's a great database builder. It gives you name, phone number, and emails, but I haven't heard a lot of feedback on like, yeah, I got this great appointment out of it, like every once in a blue moon. But it seems to be, for me, just a database builder, not necessarily a smart way of generating leads that are conversation ready.
Okay, I think Ira and I just did that one only because I don't have my systems up. Do you know what I mean? And I wanted to. I guess we're still just starting to build that up for a little bit, but I'll figure out. I'll do the home value funnel and see how that works, and just get a couple of things in there.
Yeah, get the home value funnel. All you really need, don't overthink it, is the HomeBot integration as well as maybe a video.
Yep.
Consider that we did the webinar last week with
Linnea. Yep.
And
Yep.
if you find a preferred lender, that opens up the video aspect of Bomb.
Yep. I have him already. Yep.
Okay.
I have to just get him on
that
board.
that case, don't overthink it, because it's pretty straightforward with what you're going to say within those videos of HomeBot. You just make it your own words. You help them understand the experience they're looking at right there as they're looking at that HomeBot feature.
Okay.
And that'll be probably your no-brainer. It'll be just an intro video, and then everything else within your 9-month-long dream campaign. Just read them out loud to yourself and start thinking about, is this my personality? And if it's not, change or edit it just ever so slightly.
Yeah.
And start thinking about videos that you can put inside of those. But really, the intro is the only one I would like. If you're figuring out as a perfectionist, just focus on the intro, and then what they get in their hands as far as the value is concerned, and making sure they got that. Like Linnea will tell you based on that webinar, she doesn't just give every single person a home value unless they either respond to the text message or to their email. What she'll do though is the HomeBot will naturally do that for them. So she sets the tone with the video automations within Street Text so that everybody goes through them. HomeBot will naturally give them a home value in whatever period of time you're going to get it.
Right.
But for the people that actually respond early, that's when she spends a little bit more time up front and does a custom experience for them.
Right. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate your help.
Yeah, you're welcome. Cool. All right, guys, thank you so much for attending and bearing with me as I'm fighting this cold. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to personal message me on Facebook, and we'll go from there. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye.